down with occupation.
Down, down with occupation.
Up with liberation.
Up with liberation.
Down with occupation.
Down with occupation.
Up with liberation.
Up with liberation.
Thank you so much, Melas. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. We really appreciate your support, and we really appreciate you doing your best to stand up for the voiceless people of Sudan and Palestine. You being here means so much to us, but also to the people struggling overseas with no one talking about their struggles. Keep the conversation going, and thank you so much for coming out. I want to start today's rally with Arab and Palestinian Muslim musician and artist. He's going to start us with one of his poems. Please come up.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings to everybody. My name is Amin. I make music under the name Arab, and I have a verse that I want to share with you. This is called Martyr. I heard the news anchor call me barbaric. I heard the children cry, I wonder does the world hear it? I heard you know the truth and want to stand up to apartheid, genocide, but you're too afraid to share it. I heard they killed over 40,000 innocent, and women and children make up more than 60%. Plenty more under the rubble, and I heard that number is set to double by the time this message is sent. I heard my tax money turned into bomb money that kill a child and his sister and his mom money. I heard they took my land and my home, and now my family's gone. What more do you want from me? They cut off my source of water and my source of food, cut off my internet and my electricity too. I'm a human, right? So where are my human rights? Please show the world what's happening, I'm begging you. We gotta tell the truth. And if I die today and my grave is a pile full of rubble, just remember my name. And if I lose my life by tonight, know I died as a martyr, everything is all right. What I would do for a loaf of bread to feed my sister and brother before they both are dead. They hold me tight as a plane flies overhead, and what's left of our home on a broken bed. It's been 75 years of us dying here, colonized by a Zionist pioneer. You can open up your phone and see the blood splatter. Searching through the rubble, grown men crying tears. They haven't let me leave Gaza for my whole life. Gave me no opportunities and no rights. Cut the electric off again, we got no lights. Pitch black, house shaking, bombs dropping all night. How could anybody think it's all right? These missiles have no names, they drop them on our grade schools. Do you have no shame? They want to wipe us all out, I pray the world speaks up. I don't know how much more I could take of this pain. And if I die today and my grave is a pile full of rubble, just remember my name. And if I lose my life by tonight, know I died as a martyr. Everything is all right. Thank you. So again, I go by A-Rob, A.R.O.B, and I have a new project that is raising money for Heal Palestine, the organization called Heal Palestine. They help children in Gaza. And yeah, when I say free, can I hear you say Palestine free?
Palestine!
Free!
Palestine!
Free!
Palestine!
And when I say free, can I hear you say Sudan? Free!
Sudan!
Free!
Sudan!
Free!
Sudan!
Thank you guys. Thank you for coming out.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
We will never let you die!
We will never let you die!
Biden, Biden, what do you say?
Biden, Biden, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
How many kids have you killed today?
My name is Zina Abdurrahman. Many of you may know me, have seen me before up here on stage. When I was creating this speech, I was expressing to my close friends how I'm very tired of repeating myself. And I know that many of us are very tired of repeating ourselves because it's day 260 of this genocide in Palestine. Shame.
Shame!
And we have yet to see anything to a ceasefire, permanent ceasefire. So we will still be here. We'll still be using our voices. And so I want to start off on behalf of Lala Charity. We want to say thank you for all of you who have come out today. And we also want to say thank you to all the organizations that have been collaborating with us as well to make this possible. And we want to thank all the wonderful speakers that we have today as well. So a little bit about myself. I am Palestinian Lebanese American, and I've lived in Harrisburg my whole life. And I must say, like, my whole life here, I haven't seen as much like solidarity as I do today. Of course, growing up, it's very difficult for us in like cities like this, especially in the suburbs of Harrisburg. We don't see many like us, and you know, there are some hardships that we go through because we are not like everyone else, and that's what we grew up to think as well. Of course, as I matured and I grew up a bit, obviously I'm very proud of who I am. I've always been proud of who I am. And of course, I will always keep that, you know, on me, with me, wherever I go. A little bit about La Lad Charity. I have been with the Lad Charity organization from the very beginning of its creation. And to see how far it's come is truly amazing. Helping countries across the world in so many ways, providing care, aid, medical supplies, and food to countries such as Egypt, Sudan, Burkina Faso, and Palestine. I am also one of the co-founders of HPC. And back in October, Elisa, Omar, and I decided it was time to create a safe space for activism within our own hometown of Harrisburg. And this was actually a long time planning. I don't think I've ever really shared the creation of HPC. It's been in the works, but not as HPC as a whole. But what we had hoped to extend the Palestine youth movement to Harrisburg. Ever since after the 2021 uprooting of Palestinian homes and ethnic cleansing in Sheikh Jarrah. And so since then, after October 2023, it really sparked us to take a stand and initiative in our hometown to create just a safe space for activism for those like-minded and whatnot. Fast forward today, HPC has a whole amazing, hardworking team behind them with growing numbers and support. And many of them are here today, of course. And we finally found our safe space and support system, and also who educates and enlightens everyone. There has been a lot of work put into our events with La Lad Charity. La Lad Charity strives to support and honor the countries and the people we work closely with to be able to provide all necessities needed for them to just simply live. And we really have a privilege like no other here. And we must use ourselves, our voices, our resources to help those all around us, no matter near or far. It is day 260 of genocide in Gaza. And it's over 45,000 killed, but those are just recorded numbers. We don't have the numbers of those stuck under rubble. We don't have those numbers of those who were taken and kidnapped. We don't have those numbers. And it's been a long 76 years of ethnic cleansing and displacement and genocide. In Sudan, over 15,000 killed since April 2023, and 11 million displaced, and 18 million are facing life-threatening hunger. So we must all continue to use our voices, spread awareness, and keep educating those around us, especially here in the US, in our hometowns, or literally across. We need to enlighten so many people. We need to bring this awareness to everybody. So we're going to keep the conversation going. And thank you guys all for coming here today.
Thank you, Zina. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Elisa. I'm a Palestinian American, born and raised in Harrisburg, but spent every summer of my life in Palestine visiting all my family and my friends. I come from a long lineage of Palestinians and whose roots and DNA goes back to ancient Palestine. My roots go deep in that land. I was raised visiting that land, raised picking fruits from the trees in the streets and singing among the olive trees. My recent blood is filled with activists. My uncle lost his eye in the Intifada. My aunt was in prison for 5 years for daring to defy the occupation. My aunt opened a theater in Jenin for the children of the refugee camp who lost everything and who have been bombed. And my everyday now consists of going to work, coming home, taking care of my family here, and then spending the rest of my day making sure my family in Palestine are okay. watching Telegram to see where exactly in the streets the soldiers and the settlers are so the people in Palestine can find a better route so they don't have to lose their lives. That is the reality of Palestinians here. As Zina said, I'm sick and tired of still having to be here and still having to speak. It's pissing me off. I'm angry all the time. I have rage all the time because usually every summer I'm in Palestine, but this is the first summer since I was 2 years old that I'm not there. And I feel a deeper despair in my stomach and my heart than usual. I'm not supposed to be here. I don't recognize Harrisburg in the summer. I don't know what Harrisburg is in the summer. And it's just filling me with such a dread to be having not just to worry about your families on a day-to-day basis, but not being able to see them. My mother not being able to go visit her parents because my uncles and my grandparents are saying, don't bring your kids down here. Palestine is not safe for children because they systematically target children. They don't want to see Palestinians live and persevere, and that is exactly what we do. We survive and we persevere consistently for the past 76 years and more until Palestine is free. We will not stop educating, which is a huge priority for people here in the USA, and that is a job that every single one of us have to do, educate, even if you're standing in the face of such pure bigotry. So that's what I ask for all of you. Do not keep silent for the people of Sudan, Palestine, Congo, and all oppressed people all over the world. We have privilege that we do not need fear that our house will cave in the night. We have that privilege, so we have to use it. From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
And that's a promise. Thank you.
My name's Angelica. I'm with HPC. Thank you all for being here today. We like to kick off events with a land acknowledgement. We recognize the similarities between the story of Palestine and the story of the indigenous people of the Americas. We honor the indigenous people who, since time immemorial, have lived on and cared for the land where we now gather and that the United States now exploits. And we understand that liberation for everyone is tied together. So first, let us acknowledge that the land where we gather today is the occupied territory of the Susquehannock people. I invite us to take a moment to acknowledge them and their stewardship of this land. Let's also take a moment to recognize the other indigenous people of Turtle Island and the world, past and present. Sudanese, Palestinian, and indigenous people worldwide have experienced the unjust burden of colonial oppression. With humility, we recognize them and honor both their resilience and their struggles. Let us celebrate the joy and resilience of Native people, Palestinian people, Sudanese people, and all people of the world who have faced and are facing today injustice and oppression. Many from these communities are here today. Let us not speak empty words, but instead support and fight for their resistance, power, and independence. Let us also remember that loving and supporting these communities is more than protesting and fighting against pain. Survival is resistance. Joy is resistance. Community is resistance. Sleep and rest are resistance. Celebrating these cultures and histories is resistance. Taking care of each other and ourselves is a powerful act of love and resistance. Lastly, let us take a moment to acknowledge the many complex stories of human history and worldwide migration, both forced and voluntary, recent and long ago, that have led us all from so many backgrounds to be here together today. And may we remember these stories as we work towards collective liberation for all. Thank you.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine.
Free, free Sudan.
Free, free Sudan.
Free, free, free Sudan.
Free, free, free Sudan.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Milaz and I'm here on behalf of Lillah Charity as a Sudanese American. Thank you all for coming out to show your support for Sudan and Palestine. For those of you who aren't familiar, Lillah is an organization that raises funds and provides essential resources to communities in need in Sudan, Palestine, Egypt, and Burkina Faso. When I first found out about Lillah, I was surprised that they were raising money for Sudan. Not because it doesn't need it, but because Sudan has always been forgotten and put on a back burner. I come from generations of political activists in Sudan, and usually most of the people I ever see standing in solidarity with and raising awareness for Sudan are the Sudanese community. Lillah Charity has been advocating for Sudan and raising money in order to provide food, water, shelter, and education to those in need. I'm sure you know by now, but they need our support now more than ever. For months, people all over the world have been protesting and rallying and advocating, but still nothing has been done. Millions of people are still being starved, killed, displaced, tortured, and in need of urgent assistance. But our cries are falling on deaf ears. People hear what they want to hear and believe what they want to believe. But empathy is not a belief. Suffering is not a belief. The blatant disregard for human lives right in front of us is not something that you can choose to believe. But I can't say that I'm surprised that the media is turning a blind eye to these atrocities. A couple years ago, during the Ukraine war, I heard a news reporter tell people that they should care because this isn't some third world country. These are people who look like us. And this exact rhetoric is what has been consistently contributing to the dehumanization of African and Arab people. If we are constantly referred to as an other, a third world, it's no wonder that people aren't taking their suffering seriously. They don't see what's happening in Sudan, in Palestine, in Congo as a humanitarian crisis. They see it as another story in the history books. They'll say, never again, we've learned from our mistakes, and now we'll be on the right side of history. 50 years ago, my grandfather, Sid Ahmed al-Sheikh, Allah yarhamu, traveled across the country advocating for a true democracy, trying to break Sudan free from a cycle of dictatorship, military coups, short-lived civilian democracy, and then a return to dictatorship. With each cycle comes exponentially more pain, trauma, and hopelessness. Later, when my mom, Hajir al-Sheikh, was in high school, she was on the front lines fighting for peace in Sudan. Her and her siblings did everything in their power to advocate for the Sudanese people and bring an end to the harsh conditions imposed on them by the dictatorship. Even through peaceful resistance, they were met with excessive violence. My mom alone was beaten more times than she can count, detained for days, and tortured to the point where she was bedridden for a month. Her and her siblings fought for years for a better future for Sudan. And even after a few of them were forced to flee and seek refuge, they continued to support the Sudanese people. Yet here we are, 30 years later, fighting the same fight. Last year, my cousin Yasmin was kidnapped, detained, and beaten just as my mom was decades ago. Her younger sister, Yusra, was also detained and beaten by the Janjaweed and threatened with sexual violence at a protest. Then not even a month later, their younger brother, Ahmed, was shot in the shoulder and had to witness his childhood friend's mutilated body after the neighborhood was bombed. Not only that, but when they were on the road to seeking refuge, they all witnessed the hundreds of corpses that are left on the side of the road in Khartoum as collateral damage to the war. No one, let alone children, should ever have to witness such atrocities and suffer through heat, dehydration, and starvation just to reach safety and leave everything they knew behind. Since its independence from the British Empire in 1956, Sudan has only seen 11 non-consecutive years of peace. 11 years out of 68 where the Sudanese people could rest without the threat of political turmoil. The other 57 years were met with constant war, death, destruction, inflation, food insecurity, limited access to healthcare, and existential dread. None of this is because the Sudanese people are prone to violence or need some savior to teach them democracy. It's because the Sudanese government has been using Sudan as a pawn in foreign affairs, stripping it of its plentiful resources, rich culture, and draining the livelihood of its people. The recent chain of events, beginning with the fall of dictator Omar al-Bashir and the subsequent rise of his successors, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, also known as Hemeti, and Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has been the most damaging, primarily at the hands of Hemeti. During Bashir's oppressive regime, Hemeti spearheaded a personal militia known as the Janjaweed, aptly named the Devils on Horseback. This group, led by a ruthless military general driven by power and wealth, wreaked havoc across Sudan, pillaging villages, targeting the elderly, assaulting women, and trafficking young boys. The Janjaweed were the main perpetrators in the Darfur genocide in the early 2000s. And now Hemeti and Burhan are fighting for power, causing the most recent war and putting Darfur at risk of another genocide. 800,000 people in Darfur are in danger of experiencing their second genocide in only 20 years. Not only was Hemeti at the root of atrocities within Sudan, his connections with major foreign leaders and access to all of Sudan's resources, wealth, and political power has allowed him to run free and do the dirty work for other countries. Hemeti has been paid and trained by the European Union to prevent immigrants from crossing the Mediterranean Sea into Europe by any means necessary. Let me say that again. The EU paid Hemeti, who personally executed the genocide in Darfur, murdered and assaulted thousands of Sudanese people, to act as their migration control. So of course Hemeti did exactly what he was given the freedom to do and massacred migrants in the Sahara Desert and buried them in mass graves, all under the protection of the European Union. Not only that, but during his time working under Bashir, Hemeti created alliances with the UAE, Russia, and other world leaders, showing up to conferences as the figurehead of the Sudanese military and creating personal connections with people who are not only aware of his actions, but wanting to use him for their own benefit. The UAE made a contract with Hemeti, paying him to traffic young boys and bring them into camps in the Emirates in order to be trained, provided weaponed, and shipped off to Yemen to be used as sacrificial shields in the Emirati army. The war between the UAE and Yemen, who is also undergoing one of the worst humanitarian crises, was funded by the Emirates and fueled by trafficked Sudanese children supplied by Hemeti. That alone tells you how interconnected all of these conflicts are. And when you consider the UAE's involvement in the Palestinian genocide, you can start to see the bigger picture. Most of the big players that are terrorizing Palestine, Yemen, and Congo, and many more devastated countries also have their foot in the door in the Sudanese genocide. As we stand together today, let us recognize that Sudan's plight is not isolated, but intricately connected to the global injustices. From Palestine to Congo, the story repeats: exploitation, violence, and the erosion of human rights in the pursuit of power. History will continue to repeat itself and chip away at the lifeline of these countries and cultures until there is nothing left. And as the diaspora, we're the only lifeline that connects Sudan to the rest of the world. These governments may be supporting Hemeti, but it is our duty to support the innocent civilians that are left to be casualties caught in the crossfire. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm sure all of you here don't need to hear history. And why are we here today? The speakers before me already stated the facts beautifully to show that everything that we face or their Palestinian people are facing, the Sudanese people are facing, the people in Congo. And most people here in the United States or anywhere thinks that this is over there. It's not going to affect us. But as we all know, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Sudan currently is one, or basically the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. Let's say this again, the worst humanitarian crisis in the world, and we don't hear a lot about it. Losing one person, whether it's in Palestine, in Sudan, in Congo, anywhere, it's a loss of human. So the numbers that we just heard, Sudan is 45 million people, 25 million of those are facing hunger, 8.6 are refugees and displaced people around the country, and the numbers are not accurate. Women are being raped, trafficked, young boys are being trafficked. This is happening all over. And, you know, I'm not going to go through the history or talk to you about the statistics. I would like to just read a poem, which is, bear with me, it's not a good one, but it will give you just a good idea about why this is happening. So greed fuels wars, for wars is profitable. When your life turns upside down from wars and greed, when there is no choice but to flee and run from the sounds of guns, bombs, when everything around you crumbles and falls. No place is safe, not your home, not your room, not the street you once knew. Under your bed, your table, you seek shelter. You spend your days and night. Fear is all you know, and this is just a breath away. When borders become your only hope, a chance to live another day, it doesn't matter where you run, as long as it's a safer place, as long as you can flee from war and find a little grace, a place with food, water, and a hospital stand tall, not bombed like the ones back home, where chaos devours all. Borders are the only escape from despair. It doesn't matter which country, as long as it's safe. Surrounded by death and the weight of humiliation, you leave your home because home offers no salvation. Carrying a heavy burden, your voice silenced and oppressed, you began a frightening journey, just like how my journey was 25 years ago. And in the back of my mind, I knew no one leave home without a cause, unless home breed despair. When known walls become prison, the soul cannot bear. I still smell my blood scent. It lingers, remnant of torture. Whiplashes burn my flesh, forced to stand, my oppressor revel in cruel delight, beating, hurting, mocking, prolonging the endless nights. My body scarred and wounded, but through it all, I tried to hold into the flicker of life, the flicker of that light, the light at the end of the tunnel. In that darkness, I tried to find hope and a new beginning beneath a foreign skies. I fled from home. I left the familiar. No choice remained but to seek refuge, a chance to renew, rebuild shattered dreams, heal the wounds old and new, and leave behind the horror, the misery, but also leave my loved ones and my cherished memories. And in the back of my mind, I knew no one leave home without a cause, unless home breed despair. When known walls become prison, the soul cannot bear. With the strength as my canvas, I brave the great unknown. I left behind the chains that bounds to claim my own. The unknown shines brighter than the known. Rape, torture, denial of rights was our reality. No other choice but to seek refuge, to find clarity. No one leave home without a cause, unless home bring only pain. When the known becomes torture, survival becomes our only gain. Drowning in my own tears, embracing the darkest nights, hunger was my constant companion. I lived on dry bread and tea, yearning for relief, wondering if tomorrow's hope I will see. And in that darkness, I tried to find hope and a new beginning beneath foreign skies, becoming a refugee, starting anew, time and time again. And in my vein flows the spirit of those who came before me. And with that in mind, I triumph through my tragedy, hoping I can get a chance to renew, rebuild my shattered dreams, and forget what I've been through. They stripped my human rights, but my spirit will not be denied. And as echoes of Sudan still reside within, I blend the old and new, a dance to begin my story now weaves with Pennsylvania's grace. Through valleys and hill, my heart roamed free. I found the new beginning, a way of cope, a sanctuary of hope, a warm, welcoming space, the kindness of a stranger, a gift so divine. So when you see a refugee, remember my face. Behind each refugee's face, a history resides, a life once cherished. Look beyond the surface. See the scars I bear, see the scars they bear. Remember my struggles, the battles I have won through hardship endured. And remember, no one leave home. No one leave the unknown for the, no one leave the known for the unknown. No one risk the desert, heat, the hunger, the thirst. No one choose a refugee camps with future so unclear unless today's dark shadows cast a deepest, darkest fear. No one wants to be in a refugee camp with an uncertain tomorrow, especially when they know greed fuel wars. A peace doesn't sell, and the world stand blind, unaware, causing war, then posing as savior, keeping the world blind. They hear no evil, they see no evil, see no pain, and don't speak at all. Hiding behind fake relief and aid, bringing chaos, violence, and hate, dividing the people to control the power, keep them occupied with fear, hate, and ignorance, take away their rights, keep them in trance, searching for food, water, and shelter. And when basic needs are unmet, they can't think beyond. A strategy to keep them weak, barely hanging on, keep them in the cycle, maintaining a tight grip, control their future, their land, their trip, take what their countries offer, make it your own. Use stolen wealth, act like you care, give them just enough to see another day. Never let them reach peace. Keep hope at bay. Don't allow them satisfaction. Keep them on a tight leash as long as you hold the power. They will never know peace. As long as you keep them in the dark, they will never find time to see reality, to see that greed fueled the war and peace remain a dream. And as long as there are prophets, repeat the same recipe. When will we wake up to see the cycle of abuse, mental slavery, aid with one hand, guns they produce, one hand gives guns, the other pretend to heal. I care, not just because Sudan is where I began. I care about Sudan and anywhere where there is no justice and no peace, because I was taught to love, not harbor hate, to see beyond color, creed, and faith. I hear my father's words, God rest his soul. He often say we are born free, equal in every way. He taught us to love, to care, and use our voice as hate should never stay. Sudan is my birthplace, where I first saw the light, where I learned to walk, to speak, to fight, endless stands, stories etched in time, memories of my mother's scent, her resting place, my father's grave, the fresh smell of grass, rain's gentle touch, the neighbor's radio, songs I loved so much, family meals, friends, laughter, tears we shared. Sudan is so rich in history and resources, but wars and genocide left many dead. Millions become refugees and millions are displaced. Greed fuel wars. Peace doesn't sell. And the world stands blind, unaware. My heart aches, feeling helpless to aid. Seeing the world wrongs its blind charade, the mental slavery, the cycle of abuse, weapon given, then aid, misuse. They wear masks of relief, yet their pockets are full. Funding more guns, their cycle to fulfill, refugees denied, education blocked, homes destroyed, lives left shocked. They hurt and save, then hurt and save, then hurt and save. The cycle spins like a wheel. When will we wake up and see that when one hand gives aid, the other cause pain? And this is not just the story of Sudan. This is the story of everywhere where we see injustice. So please use your privilege, use your voice to raise awareness, educate. Make sure that people know, not just the numbers, but names and faces of people that we lost. Share their memories, share their stories, make them human. And know that no one leave home without a reason. Thank you guys for being here and keep fighting, protesting, and speaking out for injustice wherever it lives.
Israel, Israel, you are evil!
Israel, Israel, you are evil!
Save our kids and free our people!
Save our kids and free our people!
Biden, Biden, you are evil!
Biden, Biden, you are evil!
Save our kids and free our people!
Save our kids and free our people!
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Wamda. I'm Sudanese. I came here to US just 4 years ago. I would like to share something. I'm going to say in Arabic. And my daughter, she's going to say it in English. اليوم أقف هنا بقلوب يعتصرها الألم وأرواح مثقلة بالهموم لأصف لكم الوضع المأساوي الذي تعيشه بلدي السودان. الحرب الدائرة في وطني قد أدت إلى نتائج كارثية لا يمكن أن أصفها بالكلمات، وأثرت على كل مكونات شعب السودان بدون أي استثناء. لقد باتت مدننا وقرانا مسرحا للدمار والخراب، حيث أضحت المنازل والمباني مجرد أطلال، والطرقات مملوءة بالحطام والأشلاء. هذا العنف المستمر لم يفرق بين أحد، فالشيوخ والنساء والطرقات والأطفال جميعهم يعانون من ويلات الحرب. المدارس، المستشفيات التي كانت ملاذاً للعلم والرعاية الصحية أصبحت أهدافاً للقصف والتدمير، مما حرم الكثيرين من حق التعليم والعلاج. وفي ظل هذه الظروف القاسية يعاني شعبي من نقص حاد في الموارد الأساسية مثل الغذاء والماء والدواء. لقد تسببت الحرب في تشريد الآلاف والملايين من الأسر، مما دفعهم للعيش في مخيمات النزوح التي تفتقر إلى أبسط مقومات الحياة الكريمة. الأطفال الذين هم أمل المستقبل يعانون من سوء التغذية والأمراض، ويواجهون خطر التجنيد القسري في صفوف المقاتلين. إن النساء بلادي يتحملن عبئاً مضاعفاً في هذه الأزمة، حيث يتعرضن للعنف والاستغلال ويحملن على عاتقهن مسؤولية الحفاظ على أسرهن في ظل غياب الرجال الذين إما قتلوا أو أجبروا على القتال أو حتى أسروا. وعلى الرغم من ذلك فإن نساء بلدي يظهرن شجاعة وإصراراً لا يوصفان ويعلم بلا كلل لتقديم الدعم والمساعدة لأسرهن ومجتمعاتهن. إن الحرب في السودان ليست مجرد نزاع مسلح، بل هي كارثة إنسانية تتطلب تحركاً عاجلاً من المجتمع الدولي ومنظمات الإغاثة. فإننا نناشد جميع الأطراف بضرورة وقف إطلاق النار وجلوس في طاولة المفاوضات من أجل التوصل إلى حل سلمي يضمن لنا الاستقرار والازدهار لشعب بلدي. ختاماً أؤكد أن السلام هو السبيل الوحيد لإنهاء معاناة السوداني، ونتطلع إلى دعمكم المستمر من أجل بناء أفضل لأجيالنا القادمة. Free, free for Sudan. Free, free for Sudan.
Hello, I'm Noon and I'm Sudanese and I'm here to translate what my mom just said in English. So I'm standing here today with you with a heavy heart and spirit burdened by sorrow to describe the tragic situation that our beloved Sudan is enduring. The ongoing war in our country has resulted in catastrophic consequences that words can scarcely convey and has affected every segment of the Sudanese population without exceptions. Our cities and villages have become scenes of destruction, and devastations, where homes and buildings are reduced to ruins and streets are filled with debris and remnants. This relentless violence has spared no one. The elderly, women, and children all suffer from the horrors of the war. Schools and hospitals, once haven for education and healthcare, have become targets for bombing and destructions, depriving many of the rights to learn and receive medical treatments. In these harsh conditions, the Sudanese people face severe shortage of basic resources like food, water, and medicine. The war has displaced thousands of families and forcing them to live in refugee camps that lack even the most basic necessities for a dignified life. Children who represent the hope for the future suffer from malnutrition and diseases and face the risk of being forcibly recruited into fighting forces. Sudanese women bear double burdens in this crisis, facing violence and exploitations while shouldering the responsibilities of maintaining their families amidst the absence of the men who have either been killed or forced into combat. Despite this, women demonstrated unimaginable courage and resilience, working tirelessly to support and assist their families and communities. The war in Sudan is not merely an armed conflict, it's a humanitarian disaster that demands urgent actions from the international community and relief organizations able to find a peaceful solution that ensures stability and prosperity to the people of Sudan. In conclusion, we affirm that peace is the only way to end suffering of the Sudanese people. We look forward to support in solidarity and building for better future for our coming generations. Thank you.
For every tear, for every cry,
Every tear and every cry.
Sudan's spirit will never die.
Sudan's spirit will never die.
Netanyahu, you can't hide.
Netanyahu, you can hide.
You're committing genocide.
You're committing genocide.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Winnie Okello. I am the founder of the Harassment and Assault Reporting Platform. It's a local nonprofit that allows us to use the power of crowdsourcing to do what we need to do so that we can collect the data that we need to be adequately represented across this city and really across the globe. I am honored to be here today because honestly, there's no better way to wrap up this Juneteenth week as we have been honoring the legacy that is Juneteenth this past several days. We remember that it commemorates the day that soldiers, including many colored troops, journeyed on to Galveston, Texas, along with General Gordon Granger to tell the last of the remaining enslaved African descendants that they had been free. It's not that they were free, they had been free, and that their freedom was way overdue. Can you relate to that? Their freedom was way overdue. And please note that Juneteenth is not just about a singular day, it is a framework that reminds us of the importance of not leaving folks behind. We are to remember the remnants among us, those cast away and deemed as forgettable by the powers that be. Juneteenth is a framework that reflects the importance of true liberation and justice for all, especially all those that are marginalized and oppressed among us. Thank you, family. And speaking of liberty and justice for all, Brother Malcolm X did say that the Palestinian struggle is not just a cry for justice, it's a blistering battle for the most fundamental human rights that every living soul on this planet should inherit by birthright. It's an unyielding resistance against the oppressive, suffocating grip of occupation and the callous denial of the most basic human rights and dignity. Just as the civil rights movement in the United States fought against the chains of racial discrimination, so too do the people of Palestine then and now. Also, we honestly cannot advocate for our brothers and sisters in Palestine without acknowledging the many others who are still unfreed across the globe today. They are the victims of proxy wars that fuel the necro-capitalistic greed of the military-industrial complex while depleting valuable resources in mineral-rich nations. Can we say amen to that? Or however you identify and preach and, honor your creator. This is important to know. This is important to remember each and every day. Be it in Palestine, in Sudan, in Tigray, or the Congo, the Western hegemony has for far too long destabilized these nations for capitalistic greed, and today we come together to say no more to this brutality, especially as it is our hard-earned tax dollars that fuel these violent atrocities. Shame indeed. Shame indeed as we stand here on this Capitol steps. Shame indeed. And as mentioned previously today, over 7 million Sudanese people have been internally displaced, and over 2 million more have had to flee to neighboring countries. Shame indeed. Okay? And more than a third of Sudan's over 48 million people are acutely hungry. And nearly 230,000 malnourished children could die in the coming months if they don't receive food and health care. And as we all know, food is nourishment for the body, and similarly, love is nourishment for the soul. And both are desperately needed in this season. And I'm sure many of y'all can agree, food is a love language, right? To me, food and memes are a love language. So if they're cutting off access to food and healthcare and internet access so they can share their stories, it is important to share your story from your own vantage point, right? That's the power of self-advocacy and true advocacy and community together. And we remember just as many people across this nation here in this good old United States continue to ask for God's grace to shine across these stolen indigenous lands from sea to shining sea. We here today speak forth that from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, Palestine must be free. It must be free. Thank you. Yes. Okay? It must be free from the ongoing occupation, colonization, apartheid, and genocide. Because last I checked, these United States were to be rooted and governed in the principle of democracy. That's demos and kratos, which means power by the people, for the people, to the people. Okay? We ought to be operating in true democracy. That is the only way to achieve true justice. Even as our good sister Bell Hooks stated, justice demands integrity. Justice demands integrity. It is to have a moral universe, to not only know what is right or wrong, but to put things in perspective, to weigh things. Justice is different from violence and retribution. It requires a complex accounting. And so once again, we will continue to say, from the river to the sea,
Palestine must be free.
From the river to the sea,
Palestine must be free.
And equally, we want Sudan and all the other oppressed nations, from Tigray to Congo to everywhere where there's people still unfreed. We need them to be liberated. Yes. All right, peace, family.
Good afternoon to all my fellow nurturers of humanity and warriors of justice. Let us take this moment to ground ourselves and take a deep breath. Amidst these deplorable atrocities, grave injustices, and cruel power wielded against our siblings across the globe, we stand here united in resistance, in righteous anger, in solidarity for a liberated Sudan, a liberated Palestine. My name is Sundus, a Palestinian with roots in my soul, but no way back home. A Palestinian disappeared in a diaspora, disconnected, drained, and damaged by destruction and displacement. To grow, I had to dispel my dismay of our disingenuous democracy. To grow, I devoted myself. A descendant of collectivist societies past, I dug into my deepest steps to find my dream. Dreary nights and dark days tried to dissuade me. Disparities on display dealt blow after blow, deterring my determination and attempting to dim my dream before my eyes. Our world often feels devoid of care, dismissive of inhumanity. I scream at the dormant, the duplicitous, the dispassionate, as if begging to dissolve the shroud before their eyes. They are desolate, distant, diffident. And then I remember the roots in my soul, the way they never faltered, enduring. I remember the embrace of community, diverse and discerning, distinct, dignified and defiant. They want us divided and disenfranchised, disheartened and disjointed, yet every time they dismiss us, degrade us, denounce our identity, we plant our feet in the earth, grounded in centuries of stewardship and connection, and denounce their delusional dehumanization and depravity. My name is Sundos, a Palestinian with roots in my soul and no way back home yet. A Palestinian driven by duty, daring to defend the humanity within every single one of us here today. We nurture life as if our very breath could stop the second we do. We center community, care, justice for all those disempowered by systems of dispossession. We are the future, the past and the present, the caregivers, the dream makers, and with our liberated souls, our liberation come. My name is Sundos, a Palestinian with roots in my soul, and with you all beside me, we are destined to find home. I come to you today with little left unsaid. 9 months of the most horrific crimes against humanity, years of severe oppression and suppression of the autonomy of our peoples. We stand here in privilege, in a country that relies on the displacement and struggle of our siblings across the globe. And in this privilege, we must elevate our siblings' plight for dignity and liberation. Yes. They are the strength in our collective grief, the pillars of humanity, the most honorable of us, and from them we learn to be the community that we all deserve. We learn to stand together, to love, to be steadfast, and to persevere. For they have not given up, and nor shall we. I struggle with words every single day as the news from our siblings gets worse day by day by day. I feel weighed down by the responsibility as we fund these massacres and our government hides the horrors. But as history has shown us, time and time again, the people are power, and together we can accomplish anything. Repeat after me. The people united will never be defeated.
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 From the river to the sea, from the belly of the beast, we will free ourselves from these chains and we will overcome. Every action you and I make is a drop. Across the city, the state, this country, this globe, we are a monsoon of justice, and we will disrupt the suffocating air of inequity that has been forced down our throats for far too long. Peace and justice for Sudan!
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 Colonizers, we don't need them!
Colonizers, we don't need them!
What we want is total freedom!
What we want is total freedom!
Colonizers, we don't need them!
Colonizers, we don't need them!
What we want is total freedom!
What we want is total freedom!
Thank you all.
Hi, everyone. I have two short poems that I wrote, and one poem by a Sudanese poet named Ammar al-Shukri. The first one is called No Longer. I remember the route from my family's home to the candy shop in El Kalakla. I remember the grandma that I no longer talk to, and the 8 cats that would scurry in the sandy fenced-in yard, the friendly neighbor girl I'd play with every day, and the netting on my bed shielding me from the Nile mosquitoes, the sound of milk bubbling for the morning chai, and the smell of Khartoum rain when we left the airport. But I don't remember her voice, or the names I personally picked for the cats, or the girl next door, or getting bitten by those mosquitoes, or the taste of haboba chai, or the feeling of homecoming in my parents' land. Feel the threads of memory snapping one by one, disconnecting me from a home that is no longer mine. The next one is Every Time I Smell the Rain. Every time I smell the rain, it reminds me of Sudan. A bittersweet scent of dirt roads and petrol. The sandalia and misik Khaltu's wearing when she greets me. If I close my eyes, I'm back in Khartoum, like a distant memory or a glimpse of a past life. But now the rain and the petrol is replaced by rot and gunpowder. Every time I hear a frog croak in the dead of night, it reminds me of Sudan. The sound of laughter and reunion, of rickshaws driving by and merchants yelling in the streets. If I listen closely, I can hear the sound of Durman at night. But now Durman is broken, bloodied, and silent. Every time I pass a river, it reminds me of Sudan, of Shari al-Nil that I'll never get to visit, of the pyramids I never got to see, the distant family I never got to meet, but now maybe I never will. Every time I think of pain and loss, it reminds me of Sudan. And this one is from Ammar Shukri, thank you. Ammar Shukri, he says, I'm from where kids smile sweet and Niles meet, where the sun always shines and grandfathers tell tales of golden times, and grandmothers say prayers that always rhyme. I'm from the Tegaliya and robe and women wrapped in thobes, hands scented with sandalwood and sesame and henna for decor, and everyone got an idea or a plan that would fix Sudan for sure. I am from where people still sleep outside and stars still fill the sky, and family ties are still a notion deep enthroned. Meals are never ate alone, and kids chase cars to welcome people home, and your cousins stay trying to keep your clothes and run your phone, because we are all family folk and kin of sun-coated skin, and 500 is about where your family count begins. I am from where people's dreams are worldwide and go way beyond the country where they reside, if only because home is beautiful and broken, and so to survive they have to leave by any means, by any token. Gotta run away, can't stay, they just pray for better days. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all our amazing speakers. I'm honestly beyond grateful to have you guys up here sharing your stories and being very vulnerable during such a hard time. So thank you so much. Please give it up to all of our speakers today. Thank you so much. As we're ending our rally here, I would like to thank everyone for attending and showing up during such a hard time where everyone is burned out and dealing with so much in their personal life, trying to stay updated and stay active and be a voice for the voiceless. Thank you so much. But as we're ending here, I would like to end with a call to action. We want you guys to keep coming out and donating. We are a charity at the end of the day, and we want you guys to donate because this is the only way we are keeping the people alive. But donation is not the answer. Stay updated with our Instagram and HPC Instagram. HPC has a teach-in every week to teach you about Palestine. This is the best way to go about it. Stay educated. Stay updated with everything that's happening right now in Sudan and Palestine. We want you to also follow the Sudan Monitor, War Monitor, because they give amazing updates. Not a lot of people know about what's happening in Sudan. You're not gonna find it easily in the media. So please reach out to Google Sudan War Monitor because they will send you daily emails with everything that's happening there. Lastly, please enjoy the little snacks we have and the seed kits we have there for you. Please take one and take care of your little plant. And honestly, as you're watering your plant and you're taking care of that little plant that has so many meanings and hold such a great sample. I want you to take care of yourself and water yourself and give time to yourself during such a hard time. Thank you so much again for coming here today. We really appreciate you.
RSF, you can't hide! RSF, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! We charge you with genocide! Shapiro, you can't hide! Shapiro, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! We charge you